Hello and welcome to Your Connoisseur today. I'm your host, Mamazo Wonkuro. LinkedIn is now one of the largest professional networks in the world, with over 1.2 billion users across more than 200 countries. This global scale means unparalleled exposure to opportunities, recruiters, employers, and professionals in virtually every industry. Over 50 million users search for jobs on LinkedIn every week. Now, I just want to show you something on the screen now. I will have my producer share the chat there. Now, more than 3 million hires occur annually through LinkedIn. Nearly 7 to 8 people are hired every minute via the platform, a huge signal of its impact on careers. A majority of recruiters, up to 87%, regularly use LinkedIn to find and vet candidates. Now, despite all these benefits, for all its potential, many people never fully use it. Are there barriers? Perhaps self-inflicted barriers that quietly shape how people show up on LinkedIn or don't. Now, according to statistics, some of the barriers are rooted in fear, uncertainty, and deeply human instincts. But when left unexamined, they limit what LinkedIn can offer. The barrier isn't lack of effort, actually. It's just misaligned expectations. Now, how do we move past the barriers? What can we do and how do we show up on LinkedIn? That will be our conversation today, as we'll be having our guests help us dissect some of the self-limiting thoughts, limitations, and barriers, and see how we can show up with power and purpose on LinkedIn. Stay tuned. I will be right back. Well, good to have you back. Today we're talking about LinkedIn for sure. It's such a powerful platform. And the question on my mind is, why are we not maximizing LinkedIn enough? Now, we found someone who has grown rapidly on LinkedIn from just a few followers to a massive 31,000 or more followers. In fact, now he's branded as a LinkedIn creator coach and, of course, a career expert as well. Help me welcome Kelly Bowie. I know he's also a consultant and he has a couple of other things he does, but it's good to have you on the show, Kelly Bowie. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well. Thanks, Mamuza. Thanks for having me on the show.
That's great. And, I'll be tilting my head often to the bigger screen because I have Kelly, connected to us virtually. Thank goodness for technology. We can always connect from wherever we are. So, Kelly, let's go quite straight into the conversation today because it's really such an important topic, especially for young professionals and students. We know networking is a great thing these days, branding. Those are very good, pieces of one's, career growth, right? But then we also acknowledge the benefits of LinkedIn, but not every one of us are actually maximizing LinkedIn. So let's start with the barriers. What, in your own words, from your experience as someone who grew rapidly on LinkedIn, are the blockers, limitations, or setbacks that people often experience in trying to utilize LinkedIn?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's something I get a lot of times when I work with folks trying to actually scale their presence on LinkedIn. I think one of the first school of thought is LinkedIn used to be this job board. You come, you look for a job, and then you get out. That was it. So, but I would say over the last couple of years, especially from COVID era to now, the platform has evolved. It's gone bigger. Now LinkedIn has over 1 billion members daily. Well, maybe not daily, but over 1 billion members. And I feel some people are just stuck with the old vision of what LinkedIn was, which is just a job board. And I think people need to realize it's bigger than that. It's grown up, right? And then the second school of thought is, especially for those of us that are young immigrants, where we come from an environment where we are told, work hard, put your head down, learn the road, don't make a lot of noise, do not boil the ocean,
Yeah.
and you'll get noticed. Unfortunately, I found out in my career, thankfully, I've been working in Canadian space at least for the last 8, 9 years. And I quickly realized while I was enjoying what I did, I was working hard on exciting projects. I quickly realized the most hardworking and not as vocal folks don't get noticed in the workplace, in corporate America, corporate Canada. And the moment I realized that, I'm like, okay, I need to become more visible. I need to become more audible. I'll do that in person, online, offline, but also online. And the moment I started doing that, I noticed there was this growth in my career. I got noticed a lot. People would see me in the office like, hey, you must be Kelly, right? I see you here. I heard you here. I saw your post on LinkedIn. And I just started noticing this growth in my career, in my personal life. And LinkedIn was the tool that helped me do that. The moment I started writing on LinkedIn, sharing my thoughts, as opposed to just showing up to LinkedIn, posting about a certification, I was posting about, hey, I went to this place for this event. Hey, I met this person. Hey, here's my thoughts on technology. People started engaging. I just started seeing this growth in I would say my personal brand. And that is what LinkedIn has done for me. The moment I decided, okay, you know what? I am no longer going to stay quiet. I am going to become more visible offline and online. That is when the growth started for me. And I think a lot more people, especially students, need to start realizing the power of this amazing platform.
I love how you really lay the platform for us, Kelly. And I know that when I speak to students, sometimes they mention a few things. They mention the fact that, well, I'm not quite experienced. I haven't really worked, corporately before. I've done only a few volunteering here and there. And then there's also the thought of how much should I share and how much should I withhold? So all of those convoluted ideologies in our minds set up limiters from actually maximizing digital platforms, not just LinkedIn, to be honest. There are many people who feel like, I don't want to share my personal life on social media. So how do I talk about myself without becoming too personal? So can you please help us? Because from your experience, we can really draw a lot more insights. Can you really help us create a picture, a clear picture of what could potentially be the best way to start communicating on LinkedIn?
Okay, so let me start by saying this, right? You becoming more visible on social media platform, in this case LinkedIn, doesn't mean you're bragging, because a lot of people feel when I talk about myself, it feels like I'm bragging. I'm like, no, you're just blowing your own trumpet. You're beating your own drums. Because if you don't do that for yourself, I guarantee you, no one is going to do that for you. If you don't own and write your own narrative, some other person would write a narrative for you, and most likely it is one that is not favorable to you. So you have to own that. But let me also go ahead and say this. When I moved to Canada in 2013, as a student, by the way, I started my first LinkedIn page, I think within the first 3 months, as a student. And I've been on the platform since then to now. And while as a student, what I did was, yes, I didn't have experience. I've never really worked in a corporate Canada before. But what I started doing was, yes, I was posting about student events, volunteer roles I took on, projects I was working on, academic projects, right? Those are the kind of things you want to write about. And just you being a student doesn't mean you shouldn't follow the trends of your industry. I was studying mechanical systems engineering, which is technology. I was following the technology space. So I was writing about my thoughts about technology. I was showing pictures of the academic projects I was working on, the lessons learned, the failures, what I designed in CAD software, pictures of me in the machine shop working. Those are the kind of things you need to create or show on your LinkedIn page. Because the truth is, like you said, you haven't really worked in corporate Canada, which means you've got no track record, you've got no credibility. But how do you build that? You start by showing the little things you already do, the books you're reading, the industry conference you're going as a student, the academic projects you're working on, your thoughts about your industry in general, and your aspirations. It's key. Because I remember, even as as an engineering student, I was writing about how I want to become an engineer, how I want to become a project manager in the future. So that is a way any students can start showing up on LinkedIn today. That is the only way they can start building credibility that they can leverage when they exit the academic space and try to break into the corporate space.
Thank you. And you know, one major challenge for most of us is the mindset that we hold. It reflects on how we, communicate online or offline. And so, what would be that mindset shift that young professionals should have as they approach creating, a LinkedIn profile, an admirable brand for themselves?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things you need to do. I get approached a lot of times by folks that have been on the platform maybe 3 to 5 years, and they send me a message like, "Hey, Kelly, I've been on this platform for 3 years, and I still cannot get any traction. What is happening? What am I doing wrong?" And one of the first couple of things I noticed is they don't even have a profile picture. That's already a wrong mindset. You've been on the platform for 3 years, you don't even have a profile picture. No one knows who you are. They just see a name, no face to it. So I tell people it's not rocket science. You have to start with the basic things, which is have a decent looking profile picture and start there. First impressions matter. Sometimes when people message me and I click on their page, just from their profile picture, I'm like, okay, let me actually see who this person is. Start there. If there's no profile picture, you've lost me already. So imagine you're a recruiter and a student who's looking for a co-op role messages you, no profile picture. To me, it doesn't seem like you're serious. I'm just going to move on to the next candidate. So start with the basics first, right? Profile picture. The next thing I like to say is your header on LinkedIn. So this is just the body of text below your profile picture where you sort of capture what you're doing, your value proposition, and maybe your future aspirations. I remember then as a student, what I was capturing was robotics and automation, graduate, mechanical systems engineering. Those are the kind of things I was capturing, right? So those are the kind of things I want to see, because if I'm a hiring manager or I'm someone in your industry you're trying to connect with, the moment I open your profile and I see your sound looking profile picture, I see your sound looking header, it tells me, okay, this person is serious. And then I look at your about section. Tell me about you. I don't want to hear about your 2 masters or your PhD. Tell me something more about you. Tell me your story. Where's Kelly coming from? Where's Kelly right now, and where Kelly wants to go? So these are the couple of things you need to do for yourself that will make you actually stand out and make your profile look more robust and more serious, and will get people to notice you on LinkedIn. So it's not rocket science, like I said.
I like it, and you're really dropping insights today, Kelly. Thank you so much for being ready for the show. Okay, I'm gonna ask a question that I know someone actually asked this to me because I also navigated that space. So as immigrants, you come into the country and, perhaps you're trying to change a career path, you're trying to transition into something else. Or also you don't want to, you want to keep a certain level of, is the word now. You don't want to be so visible because you're navigating a couple of things. Now, I'm sure you're getting the picture. You're an immigrant yourself, and so you want to keep a low profile on LinkedIn because yes, you want to be sure that when I've hit this level, then I can begin to speak about myself and all those things. How should immigrants manage that space where they are trying to transition from either one career to the other, or for some personal reasons they're trying to manage their brand image up until they feel comfortable enough to be out there on the digital space?
Okay, that's a great question. And again, I work with a lot of people that come to me like, "Hey, Kelly, I want to do all of these things first, and then I'm just gonna start putting them on LinkedIn." I'm like, "No, that is wrong." And here's why: there's no such thing like overnight success.
True.
There's no such thing. And for you to gain the traction you're looking for on LinkedIn, you have to show credibility over a period of time. I remember when I left college, I worked in the industry as an engineer, but I've always wanted to become a project manager down the line. And you know what I started doing even while I was an engineer? I was telling stories about how I would actually become a project manager in the future, 2 to 4 years down the line. I was showing people the things I was learning at work, the classes I was taking on the side for myself, the certifications I was taking to prepare myself, the industry conferences I was going, right, to help me expand my knowledge and close any knowledge gaps before I break into project management. That's what I was doing. So what people saw was, here's this young man that wants to go here tomorrow, but here's what he's doing today to get there. And Doing that for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Over time, when it was time for me to transition into project management, all I had was two interviews. Two interviews. The first one didn't go through. Second one, they're like, hey, Kelly, we see your track record. We see what you've been doing over the last couple of years to become a project manager. It shows us you're serious, you're ready, you've built up the right foundation where we know, yes, you do not have the experience, like the full experience to be a project manager, but you've done the work that we believe if we give you this opportunity, you would learn and you'll become a great project manager. And that's what happened to me. So this idea of I have to go build in silence and then show up one day like, voila, people are like, who's this guy? Right? So you have to start small, show your track record. That is how you build trust, credibility, and visibility over time.
Okay, I mean, I'm really, really enjoying this conversation because you're really giving us enlightenment and tips on how to show up on LinkedIn. Now, let's talk about stories and presence because, you know, first, I know you already mentioned this earlier, but what kind of content works better for students and young professionals who are not so experienced, who are still navigating, you know, the corporate world or even just aspiring? I know you mentioned this earlier, but could you just give us a clear picture of exactly what could be the way to, you know, share your narrative, you know, brand yourself? We spoke about profile picture, which is a great way to start. Are there other pointers or requirements that we need to tick to ensure that we are keeping, you know, with the trends and we're being visible enough?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. There's a couple of things. I tell people you can do everything, have this perfect looking profile LinkedIn, but if you fail to show up more regularly on the platform, unfortunately, the way the algorithm is set up, you are not visible on the platform. So I tell people, you can go through my coaching program where you're like, okay, Kelly, I'm going to pay all this money and you're going to coach me, and you spend all this money and we do all of this thing, and then you show up once every 3 months. You've wasted your time, you wasted your resources. So I tell people, try to become more consistent on the platform. And when I say consistent, I'm not saying you have to be there 24 hours, you know, a day, right? You can't really compete with some of the LinkedIn influencers these days. But I would say if your goal or your target is to be on a platform once a week, make sure you stick to that once a week because the algorithm knows how frequent you are. That's how you show up. That's the first thing. The second thing is there's a new change to LinkedIn now where the algorithm has been modified where as opposed to writing a full post, because sometimes people are like, oh, I'm not a great writer. I don't know how to write or what to write about. The platform has changed a little bit where you actually get more visibility, especially in your early days, from commenting, from engaging people in the comments. You actually get more visibility. Because think about this. Imagine you've never met me, Mamuzo, right? And then you are very constant on LinkedIn. And your 3 posts a week, I show up, I engage you. Week 1, week 2, week 3. By the 3rd week, you should know my name. Like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
I've seen him show up a couple of times already.
Yeah.
Let me go check his profile. So you actually get more visibility through commenting. And then the last piece will be LinkedIn has evolved to the point where it's just beyond a job board. You have to tell stories on LinkedIn. I want to say tell stories. You have to come up with a narrative. And this narrative can be on whatever you want. It can be about your personal life. I try to tell people, limit your personal life, but find a way to frame some lessons or challenges in your personal life. And you can write about that. But for a student, for example, you go through 4 months of program. You're given a project month number 1. You have to deliver the project month number 4. You go from month 1 to month 4. The truth is, every week you're doing something on that project. You're learning something. You're doing something. So write about it.
Yeah.
We started this week with this project. Here's what we want to do in the future. In the next 4 months, here's the result we're expecting. Week number 2. Well, we did this. We finally designed it in CAD. Here's what the design looks like, right? Week 3, well, we went down to the machine shop. Here's what we built. You show the physical stuff you built. Oh, week 4, we presented to the project sponsor, and here's some, pictures or slide deck we used. You see how I'm telling that story?
Yeah.
Over time, when you get to the last month, we finally submitted a project. We did a big reveal. Everybody was happy. Here's some videos. Here's some pictures. That's it. Tell stories. Find a way to tell stories. And let me say this. I know there's a lot of people who would say, but Kelly, I don't know how to write. That's okay. Thankfully, there's something called AI. You can actually dictate what you want to tell, the story, to a chatbot, whether it's Gemini or ChatGPT, and it would actually help you write a narrative that you can take, modify as needed, and that's your content. All right? So leverage technology, right? It's here to improve your workflow.
Okay, so I mean, we talking about the content now. There are different forms of content. We have video, we
Yeah.
have written, or I mean, articles or written work, and then we also have audio formats. On LinkedIn,
Yeah.
which of those three is really the most favorable in terms of how the algorithm, sort of picks people and, push contents here and there?
Yeah, so I would say the big dog is written content. Let's start there.
Written
Nothing beats
content.
written content. So you need to understand yes, LinkedIn is a social media platform, but it's a professional social media platform. We need to realize that every platform, once you go from Twitter to TikTok to IG to LinkedIn, they have their own formats that sell.
Yes.
On LinkedIn, a lot of professionals log into LinkedIn at the start of their workday because they just want to read quickly. Read one, two, three, four, and then bounce. That's what they want to do. Compared to like TikTok where you're there, you're just scrolling through videos. So written form on LinkedIn is what sells. And if you're just starting out on LinkedIn, try not to waste your time trying to create videos because again, no one knows your face, no one knows who you are. So start with written content first. Once you break into that written content form, where people know, okay, this is Mamuzo, right? She writes like this. This is how she thinks. This is what she's into. Then maybe you can introduce like some video content. But personally, I think this year, I think I've only done maybe 2 or 3 video content on LinkedIn. It just doesn't work for me and my audience. But I would say written form, based on all the experts I see on LinkedIn, nothing beats written form. And when you write on LinkedIn, make sure you accompany it with a picture. So those two pieces, they go hand in hand. So
Okay.
written form with a picture that ties into what you're writing about. That is the best form on LinkedIn. I'll tell you, last year, the platform tried to push this narrative of video, but it did not work. A lot of people are like,
But what about
nah,
the
we come to
lives, the live
LinkedIn.
sessions?
Live sessions work, not as frequent. A lot of experts use live sessions, but most times they do maybe one live session, one every quarter, right? So they pop up once every quarter and they go. But people come to LinkedIn because again, you need to understand how people access LinkedIn. They go into the office, they pick up their cell phone just before they log into work. Back in the days, people read the news before they start work. These
Yeah.
days, they read
It's
through
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn
Okay.
first. So they don't have time to sit there watching a live or watching videos. They just want to read one, two, three, and all right, my day starts. So understand how people consume content on LinkedIn, and I'll say lean towards that. And the data doesn't lie. Written form is the top dog on LinkedIn.
Okay, Kelly says it. The top dog is the written form. Okay. Okay. Now, Kelly, let's talk about you and
Yeah.
I mean, be very honest with us. What has been and this is like a game I'm playing with you right now, so it's not exactly what we have on the questions. What has been? Have you ever had any embarrassing moments on LinkedIn? Maybe a challenge on LinkedIn. Maybe a post you did that didn't turn out well. And
Yeah.
how did you manage it? Have you ever gotten any backlash on LinkedIn? We'd like to know how those things are managed.
That's interesting. So I think when I started earlier on LinkedIn, because this is a question people ask me, Kelly, I write, I post, no one is engaging, only 2 likes. And I say this, if you are going on LinkedIn to try to build your brand just because you want to get likes and you're starting off in the wrong foot,
Yeah.
right? I would say for me, I was writing for days where nobody was engaging, but I kept on writing because I saw it as a platform to just express my views, my opinion, my thoughts around things. And I did that for, let's say, years where nobody crickets, and I kept on doing it.
Oh,
So you need to start there.
consistency.
So there are days where, oh, exactly, I was showing up every day, just doing my thing, and nobody engaged because again, who are you, Kelly? Like no one knows who you are. You just popped up in the scene, and then you just expect a million people to just like, oh, who's this guy? Let's read his content. No, it doesn't work that way. It takes time. I know sometimes, especially in modern times, there's this. I want to get to the top very, very quickly. No, it takes time. And I will say this again: there's no such thing as overnight success. You have to work for it. Anything worth having takes time. But in terms of like embarrassing content, thankfully, I haven't written anything on LinkedIn that has been controversial where people are like, oh, cancel this guy. No. However, I think earlier this year, I wrote a satire post on LinkedIn that I think I made a post about, oh, I make 250K. And this was on April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
I make a 250K salary as a PM in Toronto, and I can't afford the city. And that post went crazy. I think he did like 2.5 million impressions on LinkedIn. And a lot of people were very upset. Like, how dare you talk about Canada like that? How dare you make 250K and can't make a living? You're just dumb. If you like, what are you doing with 250K? At the end of the day, I sat there, I was just laughing my stomach out. And I'm like, you guys know this is satire and it's April Fool's Day, right? And I just laughed. For me, it was pure comedy, right? At the end,
Okay.
some people figure it out like, wow, it was actually satire. How come we didn't figure it out? So that's one thing. And then the second piece was when recently I moved out of Canada to Silicon Valley in California, and I wrote a piece about me leaving Canada. And I wrote that piece starting by giving gratitude to Canada and everyone I met in Canada. Like, hey, Canada, you set me up for life. You gave me everything, my first relationship, my first property, my first job, XYZ. My whole family lives in Canada now because Canada gave me that. And I went ahead to write, but I want to go do something else. I want to go chase other adventures, other dreams. And unfortunately, I don't think my environment will let me do that. So I have to go somewhere else. And a lot of people were upset. Let's say that. Where
It
like,
went
how dare
viral too.
you? It
Even
went
other
viral.
countries
It did
had to speak
over.
about it.
Yeah, the news picked it up. Like,
Yeah.
how dare you? You know, you're running away. What a traitor! You're running to the U.S., especially with Trump. I'm just like, guys, it's just my life, right? I just want to go do something else, and that's it. And there was no point where on that post where I said, "Damn you, Canada." It was just, hey, thank you, Canada. Thank you for everything, but it's time. I knew it was time for me to go do something else, and I had to go. And some people were quite upset with that post. And again, it was comedic for me just reading through the comments where there were people like wishing me, the word is your oyster, Kelly. And then there's other people like, you traitor, right? You're running away, you're chickening out. So that was
Yeah.
interesting.
I'm glad that you have the stamina to manage, backlashes on the digital
Yeah.
space. So that's something everybody should be ready for sometimes. You might honestly just be expressing yourself, asserting your thoughts, and then it doesn't go well for your audience. Find some way to manage
Yeah.
it. So let's talk about overwhelm, because I know that life on the digital space is a lot of commitment. You spoke about being consistent, showing up maybe regularly on a particular day or time. It helps, right? It helps you grow on the platforms. For students who are really busy, and because I'm not making excuses for them, it's part of their life right now, busy juggling maybe students' work and as well as school. How
Yeah.
can they effectively utilize LinkedIn without feeling overwhelmed?
That's a great question. I know as a student, I had to write, then there was no chat GPT. And thankfully, these days, LinkedIn has this schedule feature where you can actually schedule a post that goes live. So when I was a student, I had to write my post myself. I had to like make sure I show up to post at a certain time. So I think if you were interested or serious about anything, you would give it time.
Time.
You give it the attention it desires. Period. That's what I tell people. With your academics, with your relationships, with money, you give it time it deserves. So I would say for modern day students, the truth is this. There's this LinkedIn schedule feature you can use now. You can write your post during the weekends, and then you can schedule them to go live during the week. So it saves you the mental stress of thinking, oh, I have to go post at a certain time. Let's start there. Secondly, one thing I learned during COVID was I was living by myself, and everywhere was shut. So I had to hop onto TikTok. So I started creating content on TikTok, which I've never done before. But one thing I quickly realized was I was getting burnt out by creating content where I sat down every day like, okay, what do I create next? What do I create next? And one thing I discovered was bulk creating. And this is something I do right now on LinkedIn where things I want to post next week, I've already written them down today. So if I go through my folder, I've got written content and I just schedule them on LinkedIn where come next week when people are there engaging on my content, I've already moved on doing something else. So I
Okay.
would say bulk creating, right? And again, you don't have to show up on LinkedIn every day. If it's once a week, write that post once a week. Trust me, you've got 30 minutes to write a post. If a student says they don't have 30 minutes to write a post, oh, I was once a student before. Come on, you got 30 minutes to see that.
Take
I know
on the
everyone is busy.
challenge.
Trust me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, that's good. Thank you, Kelly. Now, we want to connect with senior professionals, recruiters on LinkedIn. We don't want to sound spammy or too desperate, but yet
Yeah.
put forward our best foot. How do we go about doing that?
That's a great question. So, again, in the modern day, especially in 2025, going to 2026, I say this: your resume is not enough. Unfortunately, your two-page resume is not enough. It's just a piece of paper. the truth be told. However, I want people to change their mindset. Visibility is currency. Visibility is your new resume, period. I moved to the US, and I can tell you one of the reasons that got me the opportunity to the US was the recruiter had my resume, and she said, "This is actually a strong resume." But she said, the moment she landed on my LinkedIn page and saw the different things I did, not just within the corporate world, especially outside the corporate world, she was hooked. She's like, "I have to go get this kid." And that was it. So this was just me showing up on LinkedIn, doing my own thing in my little corner of the internet. And someone saw me like, no, 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 that's the guy I want. And I'm going to go for him. So I tell people, forget about messaging, sending message. Just try to become visible. Start there first. Because the truth is this, and when you become visible, like I said, make sure you're giving out value, not just writing random stuff. Make sure whatever you're putting out there is valuable to people, maybe to your peers, to other people in your industry. Because if they see you have value to offer, most times they'll have value to give back to you. So when you approach them, it's easy for them to say, okay, this person is coming with value. I'm going to offer value in return. But if you have no value whatsoever, and sometimes people, not kids, students say things like, but I don't have any experience. I've never done anything. But let me tell you, if you go into corporate Canada, corporate America, you find out that some of the top executives, they don't even know how to use PowerPoint or Excel or ChatGPT. If that is the value you bring to them, to teach them how to use Excel, ChatGPT, PowerPoint, that is value. To you, it's nothing, but to them, it's value. So bring this value, and they will give you value in return. Again, visibility is your new resume in 2025. Fine, let me change that, because we're already in 2025, in 2026. And visibility is currency, like hard currency. Trust me, hard currency.
Okay. Because I do have a question in my head, but maybe I'll just let it go. Because I was going to say, well, I hear you and I agree with you, but we're now, on the digital platforms, we hear all people just talk, right? And I know that they said the loudest voice in the room is the most visible, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are the most valuable member of the community, right? But let's leave that conversation for now. I hear you when you said be loud and then give good value. So that's how it goes. You have to tie both together.
Yeah.
Don't just be loud saying
Absolutely.
nothing. Be loud giving value, right? Okay, now let's talk about connecting is the first step, Kelly. Now we want to move beyond just connecting to building and nurturing professional relationships on LinkedIn. How do we do that? How do we move from just saying, oh, hello, hi, my name is Mama Zo, blah, 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 blah. How do I move from just connecting to nurturing? Because I tell you something, Kelly, and I'm guilty of this one too. I go for events and I exchange cards and, oh, it's great speaking to you. Oh my God, it was such a great session. And I get back home and like, back into my own bubble. I don't follow up with maybe, oh, let's have coffee the next day. These things do happen.
No.
How do we create a continuum such that we're able to nurture relationships on LinkedIn?
Well, that's another great question. And while taking contacts and connecting with people is a good start, especially online on LinkedIn, I always tell people make sure you take your relationships, your interactions offline. It's important you take them offline.
Okay.
And when I say taking them offline, part of it includes having that virtual coffee chat, or actually an in-person coffee chat. Part of it is, hey, I see you're hosting this event or you're doing this event. How can I help you? How can I volunteer? How can I come on your team and help you do something? And sometimes I get to the point where I'm very intentional, where even if I cannot get across to the person, and I know we've connected in the past, and I see they've posted they will be at this event or that event, intentionally, if I have to spend my own money, I'll spend my money. I would drive back there when I was living in Kitchener. I would drive to Toronto just to be at that event with them and I'll fake bumping into them.
Whoa, tell me something.
So you have to become intentional. And it's worked so many times where, again, I pretend that, oh, I bumped into you, right?
But
and
you actually came for the person.
Exactly. So you have to be strategic and intentional with whoever you want to connect with. So those are ways you need to take your interactions, your conversations and relationships from the online space to the offline space. That's the only way you can continue growing and nurturing them.
I love it. And I know that we've already established that, you don't build success overnight. However, the top voice badge is something that most people aspire to become or to have. Are you one already, or you're almost there?
No, not yet. It is something I would like to have down the line, but I'm not losing sleep over it. Let's say that.
I love that. Okay, so for someone who is aspiring to be a top voice on LinkedIn and is just starting out, how should they position themselves to reach that goal? And I know you cannot give us exactly, you know, you cannot give us a timeline to really
Yeah.
measure, you know, how much they can actually achieve. But then, from your experience, what would be the best path to be on to reach, to become a top voice on LinkedIn?
That's a great question. Well, I don't have a top voice badge, but what I've seen is I don't think I've seen anyone who just popped on LinkedIn maybe a year and then got the badge. It's I think it's almost impossible. Except let's say you're already a very well-known individual in society for years, and then maybe you pop onto LinkedIn, for example, and you have like a mass following and you put out a lot of valuable content. Maybe then LinkedIn will give you the badge. However, I would say again, show up more consistent on LinkedIn. Make sure the content you're putting out there is valuable to people. Um, and when I say valuable to people, it could be informative, it could be education, it could actually be entertaining as well. But make sure it's of value to your audience. And if it's of value to your audience, people are going to talk about it, people are going to reshare it, people are going to engage. Your following is going to grow. And over time, when you do that, I think if LinkedIn sees your traction in terms of your following, your engagement, the value you put out there, very and the impact to your own space. Because again, whatever you're putting out there, the narrative you're putting out there needs to also impact a
Yes.
space, right? An industry, a school of thought. I think that's when you actually get assigned that badge. Yeah, it takes time. I don't want to say do it for 2 years. No, I've seen people that have been there for years. And most of the people I know with the top boys badge, they've been on LinkedIn for like 5 to 10 years. Like they've been on LinkedIn for years, grinding, right?
Grinding hard.
It's not something like on what's it called? Instagram or
Or
Twitter where you can just go
TikTok.
buy
Yeah.
a green a blue badge. No, you actually grind for it. LinkedIn
Yeah.
sees your impact, your traction, your engagement, and says, "All right, you're what? You've worked hard. Here is your top voice badge."
That's nice. Okay, so we're running off this conversation very quickly, Kelly, but let me just ask two more questions. But the first question now
Mhm.
is, just like other digital platforms, LinkedIn is constantly evolving. What are those trending assets or features that students and young professionals should begin to catch up to quickly so that they can quickly build visibility?
Yeah, no, that's good. I think one of the first one, like I said, is just, and I think I mentioned some of them already, would be try to be consistent on LinkedIn. I know when I tell people showing up daily is underrated. You can show up daily on LinkedIn, just write a little post and disappear and give it 12 months. You would see this significant growth just because you are consistent. That's it. You know, not coming to write about rocket science. No, just show up consistent, talk about yourself and the work you do within the corporate space, within the academic space, or within the community. That's another thing as well. Right. And I would say focus on the basics, like I mentioned earlier, your header, your profile picture, your about section. Make sure you have the right skills and experiences captured on your LinkedIn because when recruiters are looking for you, they want to ensure that you have the right skills captured on your LinkedIn. That's the most important thing. So I say the trend is this, especially for students who are looking to maybe break into the corporate space. Visibility is currency. You need to become more visible so recruiters can see you. Talk about your academic project. Talk about your aspirations. Talk about where you're coming from. If you're like me that came from Nigeria, talk about your history from Nigeria, landing in Canada, and then talk about where you're going to from here. That's very important. So I'll say those are some of the trends you need to watch out. And the last one, like I said, if you're not so good at writing, that's okay. Again, the algorithm has changed where the more you engage and comment on people's content on LinkedIn, the more visible you get. So you can actually be on LinkedIn without even writing content and you're visible because now you're engaging people. People now sort of know the way you think. People know your name. It's easy for them to connect with you because now they've seen your name pop up 10 times over the last 3 weeks,
Yeah.
right? So I would say those are the little things that people need to, at least students need to latch onto now if they're looking to actually scale their presence on LinkedIn in the new year.
And of course, that is very much achievable if you're consistent. It's been great speaking with you, Kelly. I had a second question for you, but you already gave me a fine wrap up to this conversation. So many thanks to you for coming on the show today. I know that you had to just do this, even though you just arrived Canada just less than 24 hours
Yes.
ago. You need to go get some sleep. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. And the show continues. We just spoke with Kelly Bowie, a LinkedIn creator, coach, and career expert. We can connect with you on LinkedIn for sure, Kelly. He's Kelly
Yes,
Bowie.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you'll find his name there on the lower third. We'll take a short break now. When we return, I will be showing you something from last week. We had a conversation with our students talking about community and volunteering and what it really means to them. Stay tuned. I will be right back.
We're currently sitting in my studio space.
I started through discovering just different worlds of art.
Very quickly, it changed from statistics to poetry.
Connects my senses and it connects my brain.
I'm just making things that I think are cool.
More often than not, people are supportive.
How are people going to experience this, and what scale do things need to be?
The freedom was liberating for me to do something that I just love doing.
Still trying to figure out what my artistic career is. Who knows where I'll be in 2 years, 3 years. Who knows where I'll be in like 10 months, you know? That's great. Yeah.
So what is the one tradition, ritual, or activity that helps you get connected with others?
One activity that I would say helps me get connected with others is sports. So I love being part of a team, especially in a sports environment. And at Conestoga, I am part of a team. And that has allowed me to connect with people from different programs as well, and not just with my program. And it's really community focused because I get to have interactions with individuals from different backgrounds in their lives, like different ethnicities and stuff. Get to learn about their culture and stuff, being part of the same team whenever we travel and stuff like that. So yeah, I'd say that's one activity.
Awesome. Okay. So in 3 words, can you describe your ideal community?
My ideal community would be accepting, welcoming, and inviting.
I love it. And can you describe where would this community be for you in your head right now? Have you been in an environment where you found these 3 things prevalent in that space that you belong to?
My classroom, actually. It's very inviting, very welcoming, and there's a good sense of community.
Thank you. Gracias. Can you describe in 3 words your ideal community?
Friendly, compassionate, and nice.
I love it. And where in your head right now is your community?
Like friendly.
You know, what I mean is, these 3 things you mentioned, what environment or space do you see that manifests? At home, at school?
At home. Yeah. Like around here.
Around here, around the college.
Like this class, the programs, it's nice.
Oh, I love it. So you're totally enjoying your program then.
Yes.
As a first-year student, how's your experience been so far?
It's been very good.
Great. Volunteering is fun when, but not so fun when?
When you are alone and have nobody to gather around and you don't really feel a sense of accomplishment.
That's when volunteering is what?
Not fun.
Fantastic. And when is it fun?
When you feel like you're making a difference and helping people out.
That was an intelligent response. Thank you. What is one course you would like to volunteer for, even though you don't get paid in cash or kind?
Storyboarding?
Storyboarding. So you can do that anytime, any day, anywhere?
Yeah.
I love that. Okay. Are you currently volunteering for any organization right now?
No, not right now.
Why not?
I'm busy with school.
Do you think volunteering is important?
Yes, definitely.
Do you intend to make time for it sometime later?
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome. See you around next time. I'm coming over to you, don't worry. I'll come over to you.
I actually do currently volunteer.
Oh, so then I have questions for you. Questions for you. That's good. Okay. I don't want to guess what you're doing right now, but I'm just going to find a question that's appropriate for you. And he's actually drawing something really nice. Is this storyboarding too?
No, this is layout, but it's similar to...
Okay. Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
Awesome. You're a first-year student of the animation program here at Conestoga College, and I'm excited to know that you are a volunteer at an organization. Can you tell us about that and then your experience?
Oh, well, I don't volunteer here at the school. I volunteer at a local cat rescue. It's called Kitchener Stray Cat Rescue. The facility is on Guelph Street, and our goal is to educate people about the stray cat crisis that is in the KW area. Because in 2023, there was an estimated 20,000 feral cats in the tri-state area. And we advocate for TNR, which is trap, neuter, release, which we do through help with the Humane Society. So like if you see like a feral cat that's in your neighborhood and they're not fixed, you can go to the Humane Society and they'll give you a cage and food to trap it. And then you can take the cat to the Humane Society to get fixed. And then either you or the Humane Society will release it back into the area where it was found.
Sounds like something I would love to do. Great. So why do you think volunteering is important?
Because there are a lot of organizations like the one that I volunteer for where we just do it out of passion. Like, I love cats. I grew up with cats. I have 10 of them.
She's got 10 cats. Okay.
Yeah.
You have a full house.
Yes, we do. And like at the rescue, we vet the cats and they're up for adoption all the time. Especially during like the late spring, early summer is what we call kitten season. That's when cats are more likely to mate and reproduce. This volunteer work I do isn't for everyone. There's a lot of not so great things that you witness. So if like blood or hurt animals make you upset, volunteering for an animal shelter probably wouldn't be for you. But volunteering at like we do fundraisers where we have volunteers come, where we do it in association with like Zares. We've done barbecue fundraisers there. You can find us at the St. Jacobs Farmers Market during the summer, where we have a booklet of different cats and their stories. But yeah, it's really fun and it's important for stuff like this. Because it's like no one else is gonna do it, really. And for a lot of other volunteer-oriented things like soup kitchens and stuff for helping like the homeless people, it's like you don't want to have the bystander effect where you expect other people to do it, because then nothing ever gets done. So you have to take it upon yourself to go out there and volunteer and to be an active member of helping your community.
What a way to wrap this conversation. I want to leave it right here because those words are so profound and I want them to sink in. Thank you for sharing with me today.
You're welcome.
Let's get back to our question. Okay. So when you think of the word a building community, what comes to your mind?
Yeah, I said found family, friends, this class, because I really do feel at home here. It's fun.
That's great. That's great. So how do you find your program here at the animation? Is this animation? What's it called? Animation what?
Yeah, it's just animation. It's not the bachelor program. I kind of knew I wanted to do animation. I wanted a creative field, and I specifically wanted it to be animation since freshman year of high school. So I am an international student. This school was the closest to my family, so that's why I chose it.
Oh, you're making me teary. Emotional. It was great speaking with you. Thank you for sharing that part with me.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, great moments there with our students, and it has been a great conversation too with Kelly Bowie, the LinkedIn creator coach, as well as the career expert who spoke with us about how to maximize LinkedIn. Well, 2026 is around the corner. Perhaps that might be on your top list for the year. Now, I cannot believe it that we are already nearing, in fact, this is actually the last show for season 3 of Your Corner Sticker today. It has been a privilege and an opportunity to serve you as your host for this season. Thank you for journeying with us. We look forward to having you again next year. But do I say to you, happy holidays, and make sure you get warm as we celebrate the holidays. Enjoy your day. I'm your host, Mama Zoe Wilkero. Don't forget to follow us on social media at cctv.ca on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Have a great day.